Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we'll be taking a look at Studio Series number 18, Bumblebee, from Transformers Bumblebee, the upcoming movie. This Bumblebee's pretty neat because he has the VW Bug alt mode, as you can see pictured here on the back. So again, it says big screen inspired Transformers Bumblebee. You can see the logo for the new movie. And then it says Charlie's Garage. I guess that's Charlie's the character that finds him. Bumblebee turns up and lays low in Charlie's garage. So there you go. On the back, you can see some of the other figures that were released. Already took a look at Shadow Raider yesterday. If you haven't seen that video, feel free to check it out. Not too much going on the bottom. I like the packaging. It's fairly simple, but I think it works. Bumblebee giving you some sass there on the front. And again on the side. Big Autobot symbol, at least this time, makes sense. Here he is listening to some cassette tapes with his radio in the 80s. But yeah, pretty cool packaging. Let's go ahead and get him out of there, and we'll take a closer look. Wanted to show off the little diorama you get. This is Charlie's Garage. Again, I haven't seen the movie yet since it has not been released, but you can recognize it kind of from the trailers. So I always think these are neat. Something a little extra they don't have to throw in, but looks pretty good. So here is Bumblebee out of the packaging, and I really do have to say when I first pulled him out of the box, I was really disappointed because he was kind of a floppy mess, and I really just realized, oh, they didn't transform him correctly. There are things that peg into place and really make him a lot more sturdy. Chief among them is in the thigh area. So you can see this black section and then this section here, this kind of fits into this little indent, and then there's some pegs on the back here. You can kind of see one right there. It's not 100% pegged in. There it goes. And so that pegs in to give him his full kind of like calf muscle, and that really keeps the legs together. When they first came out of the box, they were transformed very incorrectly and they were not pegged in at all, and I was really bummed. The other thing that was not correct was his whole kind of backpack, and it's not amazing. It does kind of stick out quite a bit, and I wish you could compact this just a little bit more so that like this part of the hood laid flat against his back, but I don't think you can because of the wings and everything that are in the way here. But it's a hell of a lot better than it was when it came in the box. It was just all hanging down and it was a big floppy mess. So this is nice and secure in place now. You can see on the back he has the doors and then part of the windows, but I kind of like it because it kind of looks more like bee's wings. So I kind of like that. It almost makes it look like he could fly or something. It's kind of a neat little change, which I think is neat. But yeah, overall, I do like this robot mode quite a bit. Let's take a look at the head sculpt. Looking pretty good. Autobot symbol looks good. Nice blue eyes. Nice silver paint for the head there. Or for the face, rather. Can go from side to side and up and down on a ball joint, but it's kind of a tight ball joint. Now these pieces on the side here also need to peg in, so if they come loose, just make sure you peg them in. These black pieces here peg into this part of the torso. So you do have a ball joint for the shoulder, although mine's fairly tight. You can see you also have another joint there. You have 90 degrees in the elbow. The wrist moves, but I believe that's for the transformation. Nothing in the waist, but you have a ball joint here in the hip. Mine's a little loose, not terrible, but a little loose. And then you have pretty much 90 degrees in the knee there. And then you actually do have kind of a little ankle tilt, which is pretty cool. I like his big, like, boots for feet. I think that looks really cool. I don't know what it is, but I like it. So overall, I like it. I think it's aesthetically pleasing. Looks pretty cool. Nice articulation. Decent paint. You have some nice silver accents around, most notably here on the shins, in the inside of his thighs, a little bit here on the inside of his forearms. The face is painted very nicely. Yeah, he stands fairly well. You get these 3 accessories. So you get a Gatling gun arm and a blade. So the blade just clips on the side here. Like that. Very simple. Kind of like a Wolverine type thing going on. I guess you would fold the hand in a little bit just to get it out of the way. Or you don't have to. It's up to you. Then you can take this off eventually. Actually, you can actually take off the entire arm, very much like the other Bumblebee figure we just looked at. And then this gun piece can pop on. And now he's got a Gatling gun arm. I don't like that. I always think it's cool when it looks like the arm can just kind of seamlessly transform into a gun. I think that's kind of a nice touch, especially for the movie figures, because they did do that in the movies. Let me see if I can get this part off. This is really pegged on there. There we go. So, pop that back on. Now you'll notice that not both arms can clip on the sword, but only this arm pops off at the forearm. So don't break off the left arm trying to unpeg it, because it does not do that. And then you also have a second face, so you have to kind of wiggle off the Bumblebee head. It's a pretty difficult little process because it's hard to ascertain which piece comes off, like where the seam is. You can kind of tell that there's two different shades of yellow plastic, and that's the piece that comes off. But it's really quite difficult. There we go. And it's really creepy with what you're left with. And then you just go ahead and peg this on over top. And then you have kind of a cool battle shield. I like that a lot. I think that looks really cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Bumblebee's normal face. But that's like if he has an alternate, like this persona would be called Stinger or something, like, you know, Yellow Jacket. He's more like more badass, but he's pretty sweet. I think he's awesome. I think that looks really cool. And there you go, just put the other head back on. I feel like once you get it off the first time, it's much easier. It's just that first initial removal. But yeah, I think both faces look great. I think both accessories are really cool. I think the robot mode looks nice, nicely painted, nice articulation. Once you get everything pegged into place, it does feel pretty solid. So I really do appreciate that. Yeah, overall, really fun little robot mode. I recommend this guy quite a bit for the robot mode. Let's go ahead and get into the transformation. Real quick, before we get into the transformation, a couple things I missed. He does actually have a waist swivel. So there you go. On the back, you can actually store some of these weapons. Now, the directions are a little vague, but I believe these two clear tabs here, these accessories should peg into them. But I can't seem to get it to work too well. But that's kind of what the directions show. And also they kind of show you putting the sword across the two of them, which kind of works. The one thing that absolutely does work but looks really goofy is there's a little tab on the window here. So you can tab the other face upside down onto the bottom of the wing, which looks really weird. So I'm just going to put these off to the side. But supposedly you can try to store them. I still feel like the backpack should be able to compress more than this, and I'm just not getting it right. But I can't make it happen, so that's as tight as I can get it. Moving on to the transformation. The first thing you want to do is go ahead and pull these two sections off, as you can see there, and kind of just straighten them out a little bit. Come to this section and unaccordion out the back to give yourself a little bit of room here. You can pull out the door, and then this section will fold up and finish out the window. And if you really wanted, you could leave the wings on here like super giant, like you could flap. It looks a little silly, but I think it's funny. Alright, then you can pull this section out. So as you can see, so much of the hood of the car and the roof just accordions in there. It's kind of nuts. This is where it gets interesting. So you come to the legs, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to have to do with this thing in the way, but there's not really anything you can do about it. So you bring these up, and like this whole section will come up like this, which looks incredibly frightening. So now you have these sections here like this. You're going to rotate at the waist 180 degrees. Line that up. Then you're going to come to the back. Remember where I told you before about that black calf piece connecting to the kind of shin piece? That's where you're going to unhook it. And then it's going to fold up. And you're going to do that with both. Now at this point you want to take the feet and kind of rotate them up a little bit. It's kind of like a weird joint. So you rotate them back and then push them up like that so that it kind of forms like a straight across. Then you're going to want to peg these together. And you can see there's two tabs right there. So you want to sandwich these together. And again, it's really annoying with this thing in the way, but unfortunately there's nothing you can do. Alright, so you have this all situated here. Then what you have to do is you can see the tabs right here. They're going to go into this spot up here on the body. So you have to kind of rotate these all the way up and then drop them in there while trying to keep everything as straight as possible, while also trying to like rotate the back part of the buggy up and peg everything, sandwich everything together. So it's really kind of a mess, but once you can get everything to go where it's supposed to, it kind of works out. So you just kind of have to fiddle with it, and it can be kind of challenging. So that's kind of what you want when you're done. And then you can bring these back. You can see that you can see it's almost like a T. Like there's the obvious vertical, but there's also a tiny little indentation over here. And that's going to be for, where is it? Right here. There's a clear tab right there. So when these come in, they'll kind of tab on there. And that kind of gives you the back. But again, you need to kind of rotate this up to, there we go. See how that finally clicked into place, and now that's all pretty good. So coming back to the front, you're going to rotate the arms forward 90 degrees on the ball joint. Then the whole gray piece will rotate down. Fold the fists up, and then kind of bring these pieces as flat down as you can. You'll see that there's a little gray tab right there, and then there's a little tab hole right there, so these will flip around and peg in, and then these will kind of tab there. And then you want to bring these down, and you can see there's kind of a tiny little yellow tab. That's going to go into this tiny little spot right there. So bring this down, and it just kind of like loosely pegs in there. And then you want to just drop this whole thing on top into place where it goes. And there's a couple different spots to peg it in. And of course it's all going to pop loose because of, why wouldn't it? It's just kind of lining a lot of panels up at this point. But once you're done, you get a pretty cool little VW bug once everything clicks into place correctly. And I feel like it never gets perfect. If I get the back right, then the top pops out and vice versa. That's pretty good. So it's a pretty solid little VW bug. You can see it rolls very well. What I really like about this is the vehicle mode really properly stores all of these accessories. So you can see there's a little slot right there in the front. You can tab this in. It's a little difficult to do, but you can do it. There we go. You just take the sword and pop that onto one of the arms right here. And then this pegs into his crotch, or what was, I guess, technically the back of his crotch. So all of those accessories peg underneath very nicely. And the problem is, I'm probably like not 100% lining up all these panels correctly, which is why, oops, that came off. Why it looks like it's not really, like you can see how there's like a lot of space. And it's, I don't think it's the toy's fault. I think it's just the panels kind of have to be lined up so precisely. And I'm just not great at doing that. But overall, I think it's a cool little bug. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes the arms don't want to click in perfectly here either. And like I said, it happens when you have a lot of panels like this. Things just don't always want to stay where they should. But overall, I'm happy with it. It's definitely a cool little bug. I kind of wish it had the little red Autobot symbol here on the front, just because that's how it always was in the G1 cartoon. I understand for the movie that doesn't make sense. But maybe if they gave you like a sticker so you could, if you wanted to do it, you could. But you don't have to. I don't know. Like I said, just would have been neat. But overall, I really like this. I think it's pretty cool. And it rolls very well. And I love that it stores all the accessories so nicely in the vehicle mode. So while I don't think this figure is perfect by any means, I definitely think it's a lot of fun. It has a really nice color scheme, pretty excellent paint applications. The amount of articulation is nice. I love the interchangeable extra accessories with the sword and the gun and the extra kind of battle mask. It's neat. I think it's definitely a lot of fun to be had here. It's really cool to see Bumblebee in the movie form be a G1 Volkswagen Bug. It's kind of like a nice mixture of the two. And I think that's really cool. There's definitely a few stability issues as far as things pegging in 100%. I really feel like the backpack is supposed to lay a little bit flatter, and I just can't make it happen. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or what. But I do appreciate that those kind of black calf muscles peg into the front of the leg, but they don't always stay together the best, but they're decent. And I really appreciate the ankle tilt. I feel like that goes a long way to stabilizing him in different poses, because the hips are a little loose, but not so bad that with that ankle tilt, he cannot, like you can see he's standing very nicely right now. I think without that ankle tilt, he would fall over a lot more. So at the end of the day, I think it's fun. Just know what you're getting into. It's by no means perfect, but it's definitely a lot of fun. And yeah, like I said, very minor little nitpicks, but overall, I think it's a figure worth picking up. And I really like the design. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.